It's like the fourth time I've tried to record this video because I'm so damn excited. It's either that or I just can't stop rambling because I'm excited. Because I'm traveling to Vegas tomorrow. Today is currently Monday. I'll be posting this up on Wednesday. So if you're watching this now, the play-ins will be on tomorrow, which is going to be casted by myself and all the other alpha talent. Brycey will be there, all the boys. So that's going to be really interesting to watch. I'm not going to talk about the play-ins too much because this is my Vegas predictions video. I suppose I could predict the play-ins, but I've already really done that on the previous video that I put up last week. So check that one out. Hopefully it's down here somewhere, oh god. But we're not going to talk about the playing teams too much. First and foremost though, I do want to talk about how I always talk about why are you wearing a headset when you're not listening to anything today though. I am wearing my Astros because we do have an Astro giveaway currently ongoing on EGL's Twitter. If you go to @EGL, follow the instructions there, you get a chance of winning a pair of A40s, quite similar to this one. I don't know if it'll be exactly the same, but you win a pair of A40s, a mix amp, and all you have to do is retweet some shit. It's very, very easy. Go check out that tweet. I'll link it down below. I actually will link it down below. Chris, remember when you're editing this, link it below. Remember. Anyway, that's why I'm wearing Astros. I'm promoting. Look, I'm being a good employee. But yeah, anyway, so we're going to go into this. I'm going to predict pools, and I'm going to predict who finishes first and second. I'm not going to delve into it too much other than that. Of course, we only know 3 teams in each of the pools, so you can really only predict who finishes where based on that. Obviously, the play-ins haven't happened yet, so we'll find out whether our teams go in. Got a pretty good idea who I think is going to go in, but as I said, that's going to be on the other video that I did sometime last week. First and foremost, before we get into this, because obviously it often... There's a lot of people have different opinions. My top 5 isn't too different to a lot of other people's, but people have a reaction to this. At the same time, I think that when you're predicting this event, it's easily the hardest event I've ever had to try and predict. We've only really got online play to be based off because we can't really count too much on last year because that was 4v4. We're now over on 5v5, of course. It's a brand new game. It plays very different to World War II. And when you talk about online, yes, the results have been one-sided in particular for one team, of course, but you have to talk about the servers online at 20 hertz only, and when they play online, obviously it's going to be, as far as I'm aware, the highest tick rate possible. Then you've got a lot of the American competition has been across the whole country. So yeah, you can only read it online so much. So basically my opinions are based off online and gut feeling and teams on paper. Maybe I'll talk about World War II in a sense because obviously you still have to be skilled to win championships, and that will have some bearing on who I predict going where. So yeah, let's get into it. As I said though, not going to be talking too much about the guys who come in from the play-in. I'm going to predict the top 2 in each pool first, just to give you an idea of that one. I already did a pool play video, but just after a few results, maybe want to change that up slightly, and it'll give you a good indication who I think will be going into the winners bracket, which gives you a good indication who you think is going to win. Now, let's get into it. Pool A. Now, if you don't know the pools by now, I'll link it down below. Again, link it. Make sure you do it. But Pool A, I've actually got them up, have I? Yeah, so Pool A currently is 100 Thieves, E United, and Team Reciprocity. For this one, I went pretty simple with 100T and E United, to be honest with you. I think, realistically, we've seen Reciprocity do pretty well in the Pro Down that was happening last night. That finishes tonight. Tonight is Monday. Obviously, this isn't going up to Wednesday, so we'll already know who's actually won it by then. But either way, Reciprocity have already got a top 4 finish, beating a couple of good teams. I think they beat FaZe, Envy. So, you know, we can see that Reciprocity can hand. That's a very, very good roster. However, I think 100T in the United was probably the hardest one they could have actually got put into in terms of groups. I think if they went in the other ones, they could have challenged. I mean, let's have a look at the other groups. If they went in with Red, LG, those guys, FaZe, Envy, Optic Splice, they could have potentially challenged for second place in 2 out of 3 of those groups. I just think that this is probably the hardest run for them. But as I said, they did have a good time in the Pro Down. So they are a team to be watched, but I do believe 100 Thieves and E United have looked very good online for the most part, of course. In terms of who finished first and second in this one, I just slightly give the edge to E United. 100 Thieves have looked pretty decent though. They seem to be getting better and did okay in the Pro Down, but as I said, I can only weigh in so much on that with it being online. I think 100 Thieves will finish second and E United will finish first in Pool A. Just trying to run through these quickly because we've already talked pools. We've talked about pools a lot. Pool B, I believe Red will finish top of this one with LG second. Now, Red, as they are now actually in the, I think it's the losers semis tonight in the Pro Down, of course. They're good up against Reciprocity, but that's a guaranteed top 3, top 4 for both those teams in a high stakes tournament online, so to speak. You're only playing against the best teams. I think it's only E United who aren't in there, so it's a good indicator based on online performances of where everybody's going to be. But I think when I look at Red, they definitely gave Optic one of their tougher games, as far as I'm aware. I didn't catch every single map, but it seems to be that most of the games were fairly close to a point. They won the S&Ds, and I spoke to a couple of other guys, and they said they feel like they made a couple of mistakes as well. So if they can brush these mistakes out, Red have got a very good chance of doing well this event. I've got a lot of confidence in that squad. LG have been looking better since the pools were announced, but I still think that Red are a very, very solid team and will look to bounce on it. They really do want to try and march on in this one, so I think they'll be going at it full tilt to try and get top of this group, and I do believe they actually will do so. Who else was in that group? Sorry, let's just remind myself. So Evil Genius is in there. I don't suspect that they'll break the top 2. They might cause problems to Luminosity, but I'd be surprised if they cause much problems to Red Reserve. Pool C is FaZe Clan, Team Envy, and Team Mad Cat. Now, this one's pretty clear-cut for me. I would say that it should be FaZe and Team Envy, of course. But the thing is with Team Mad Cat, I just don't know how they're looking right now because I haven't actually seen too much of them. They've been one of these teams that haven't streamed a great deal, and when they did, it was pretty early on. I think I watched Dave stream maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. It might be the first 2K or the second 2K, one of the two. So from what I've seen from then, Dave looks like he's back to form, but nothing too notable in terms of online placements, that sort of thing. But you look at the caliber of this roster, it's Alex, Josh, Petey, Mad Cat, and Dave. If this was roster made a few years ago, then you would expect them to be one of the best teams in Europe, but they didn't have a great year last year, most of these guys, apart from Alex, of course, so let's see how they do. I think they've got so much potential to be very, very good. If everything clicks, then they will be a team to match with. But at the same time, FaZe and Envy are very, very storied teams. They both have championships under their belt. Of course, Envy, current world champions. FaZe won Season 1 Pro League, of course, as well, and then added Methods, and Envy added in Hook as well. So both these teams are very, very good, and I think Mad Cat's team, or Team Mad Cat, actually, it's Lightning Pandas now, aren't it? I'm calling them Team Mad Cat. It's Lightning Pandas, of course. They will struggle, I feel, to break the top 2 in this pool, but I don't think that anybody else is going to cause them any problems, and they should slot into 3rd. Now, Pool D. I think both of these teams could actually win the event in terms of Optic and Splice. I do predict Optic to finish top against Splice, but one thing I do want to say about Optic, and you know, I've sort of harped on about this a little bit with Dashi and how, let's see if he can sort of deal with the pressure and that sort of thing, but typically, Optic have never been a team that lights the groups on fire. They've always been a team that, well, they don't necessarily, they sometimes get beaten groups and they might still win the event. That's happened previously in Optic gaming teams. So if they lose to Splice, that actually wouldn't completely shock me because Splice are a very, very strong roster. They are the real deal. A lot of the guys online, I think it was Silly was tweeting out saying he thinks that Splice could genuinely win the event. And I think you look at that roster, you could argue that because of, I mean, they've got Looney in there, he's got championships from last year, they've got Accuracy in there, who has championships from last year. Jerd is an enigma, and we know what he can do, and if this team is gelled well together, they will be very, very scary, but let's see how they do. Let's see how they do. I said I wouldn't be surprised if Splice won this one against Optic at some point, but at the same time, I do expect Optic to win it. I'm expecting a fairly close group, though. I don't see G2 beating either one of them. I would expect G2 to slot into 3rd. Optic and Splice should win their group. Now, I'm going to go straight in my top 5 from this one because it's impossible to even try and remotely predict how the bracket's going to break down, who's going to play who. I ain't League Ops. I ain't trying to do that. I'm going to go with my top 5. So, 100 Thieves, I'm going to say a 5th. Now, I know it'll be like a 5th, 6th thing, depending on where they finish, but we'll just stick a top 5. 100 Thieves, I think, will finish 5th. We haven't seen them have the hottest start, but they have a high caliber of player. I think it'll take some time for them to get going, but this roster seems to be getting better, and I think they'll get better as the year goes on. A lot of pressure on them, though. This new org coming in, Nadeshot's backing, they'll have a lot of fans. 100 Thieves, I think, will finish 5th. I think just the competition is very, very high. And I'm going to say 5th. In 4th, I've got Splice. Now, Splice could go higher than this. They really could. And as the thing is, as I said at the beginning of this video, it's very, 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 very hard to predict this. So this could go anywhere. But this is just probably mostly my gut feeling on where I think everyone's going to finish. Splice in 4th. Now, as said, I think they've got a very good roster. There was questions around the Aqua and Temp pickups, of course, but I think these guys seem to have gelled well together. Jerd seems to be having a good game. Looney's a very good player. We know how well Accuracy can play with his championships from last year. And Looney's, of course, as well. I think Splice have got the caliber to cause problems, and they look like a very good team. And they have that leadership of Looney to help guide them through. Now, I don't feel like they'll ever lose composure, or they shouldn't, hopefully. I think Splice would be somebody to be scared of at this event. I think they'll finish 4th. E United have looked very, very consistent online. I think bringing JCap in was a master stroke / a stroke of luck, because I think he might have been dropped by LG, but I'm not 100% sure. Sorry, I need caffeine. But I think that JCap into this roster is a good one. That core 3 of Clayster, Pristine, and Arcity's last year was up and down, but this game looks like it suits them. Arcity's a god, a Beezy at this moment in time. Sort of in the same bracket as Dashi, but obviously I'll put Dashi up higher. I think that, you know, he's got a lot to prove. He hasn't had any amazing placements. So let's see how he does. If he can perform to the level he has done online and keep consistent, then they're going to be a scary team to watch out for. So I think United will finish 3rd. 2nd place, I'm going to say Red. Now, there's probably some absolute bias in here. There is. I'm not lying. But I just think that so many people are sleeping on them. Like, this is probably one of my biggest topics in this video, is that there's so many people's top 10s or top 5s coming out. Esports Peter released theirs, and oh my god, I don't even know who tried to do that, but that was, I don't know. Either way. And I just think that they're a very underrated team. You look at this core 4, they're one of the only teams to stick together from last year. They add in Bance, who, okay, he didn't have a very good World War II, and that's my only little niggle. That's my only little niggle with this team. But last time Bance was in the team with these guys, or the majority of these guys, they finished 2nd at World Champs. And I just feel like the vibes are actually flowing. They moved over to Vegas. They've had a good time so far in terms of scrims are here, and in terms of how they've been doing in the Pro Down so far. I think they'll probably beat Reciprocity in that losers semi-final. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat 100 Thieves in the losers final and go up against Optic. And I think, as far as I'm aware, they are probably the best team against Optic that we've seen so far online. And I think that has some bearing, you know. Let's see how they do. But I have a lot of faith in this Red Reserve squad, and I think they'll be very, very hard to beat. Now, I am going to put Optic in number 1. Now, a lot of people will be like, oh, we're just being, you know, there for the Optic fans. But realistically, how can you argue against it? If you were to base it off what we've seen in Black Ops 4 so far, you cannot predict against Optic win this event. However, it's just online, so you've got to weigh that into your assumptions. But at the same time, they've looked so good that it's hard to predict against them. At the same time, we've seen them play well last year online at the beginning of the game. We've seen them come in World War II. They were hyped up. They finished 3rd. Now, that, for me, at this event, would not be a bad placement. It would be seen as a failure by many people, but I think if Optic finished 3rd at this event, look how high the competition is. It's the first event. Yes, they played well online, but one of the other arguments is that, and this is me arguing against them being in 1st, but I am keeping them in 1st, so it's completely hypocritical, that Optic of slowly starting to be caught up, I feel. They seem to discover the game very quickly, they seem to learn it fast, and then they were blowing teams out of the water pretty much from the off. But then teams seem to be crawling that back a little bit because they're probably seeing what Optic are doing. Yes, okay, the gun skills there, that is something you can't really teach, but at the same time, you just look at what they're doing, teams will start learning what they're doing. They're putting the VODs up, for God's sake. I mean, they're putting games up from scrims, they're putting games up from tournaments. I don't know if they maybe shown a little bit too much early, but let's see. We've seen TK have a very good time of things last year online as well, and they went on to win the event, albeit in a strange circumstance. But I think Optic probably will win it. But there is so, as I said, this top 5 prediction is so hard to make that realistically any of these guys could finish outside the top 5. There could be other teams that finish in here. We're talking phases. Reciprocity could potentially make a run. LG, if they perform at their level that we know. If you look at that roster on paper, LG are scary. They're a straight fire. But for me, my top 5, I'm going to say it again. 100 Thieves 5th, Splice 4th, E United 3rd, Red Reserve 2nd, Optic 1st, I feel. Now, thank you for watching, but we're going to move on to a slightly different topic. I'm obviously going away tomorrow, which will be Tuesday, which will be yesterday for you. I'm not going to actually have anything to produce any videos while I'm there. However, this magical thing called a smartphone will be there, and I'll be on the social media channels as per usual. If you want to follow at EGL, I'll be on there. I'm going to be trying to do videos through the Twitter, because I can only post a video up to 2 minutes 20 seconds on Twitter, and obviously I'll just do that through my phone because I don't have a laptop at the moment, so hopefully I'll get that set up for next events. But just so I can keep up with the content, keep up with what we're doing, so if you can go and follow EGL, follow myself is at @ctunn_. Also go and follow the EGL Instagram, which is EGL TV. I'll be doing stories and things like that. So the content stops on YouTube, but it doesn't stop overall. So if you can go and follow those channels, that'd be great. And you can keep up with what I'm doing. I'll give you all the action from the open bracket stream. I'll give you all the action I can. I'll be totally transparent and just throw everything out there. But anyway, guys, thank you very, very much for watching. Please the video a like. Give me your predictions for Vegas down below as well. Let me know who you think's going to win the event. I think there'll be an overwhelmingly large proportion of you will say Optic first. It makes sense. It does. Let's see if they can live up to how they've been playing online, guys. We will catch you on the next video, which will be after Vegas, but we'll catch you on the social channels, and I hope you watch Vegas. We'll see some of you there as well. Thank you for watching the video, guys. See you next time.